What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of What the Elle. I'm your host, Elle Kramer, and today I'm going to be talking about. Well, actually, I posted on my Snapchat story a question of I posted the running list of topics I have in my phone because my problem is I'm very indecisive and it's hard for me to decide what I want to talk about for an episode because there's so many different things that I can talk about. So I'm just like, why choose one? But that's kind of the point. But I've decided to do 3 in 1 today, and it's going to be breakups, breakdowns, and breakouts. We're going to be talking about all of that today. But yeah, I posted on my story, what did you guys want to see? And it didn't help at all because everyone said different things. But nobody requested this one. And I was like, why did nobody request this one? And so I was like, okay, well, obviously this is the one I want to do. So this is the one that I'm doing because obviously my decision was already made for myself. I was just like needing somebody else's approval, and then I was like, no, I don't need anybody's approval. So anyways, that's where I'm at today. Today's Thursday, April 11th. Whoa, I feel like yesterday was April 1st. How is it already April 11th? I don't understand. The concept of time is scary. But anyways, getting right into the episode, I'm just gonna start off with which one do I want to start off with? Breakups. I'll start with breakups. Just get that one started. I've been through 3 breakups within my life. Yeah, 3 breakups. The first one was pretty brutal. I was very crushed, and because your first love, whenever you're 15, you don't know. I feel like it's always the ones whenever you're 15 that hurt the worst. I don't know why. I feel like that's an actual universal thing, unless I'm just crazy, in which case, what the hell? I mean, we're not surprised, are we? We might be. I don't know. If you're new here, hi. Thank you for popping in. Hopefully you stayed if you made it this far. And if you're returning, thanks for returning. We love you, or I love you. Me and my split personalities. But what was I talking about? Yeah, breakdowns. No, breakups. Yeah, so my first one, it was pretty bad. I broke up with him because I felt like I was losing myself in the relationship, and I was like, if I stay with this guy, I'm just not gonna completely know who I am anymore because that relationship just was not it for me. And I don't know, just I was like, I can't be in this anymore. But I think it was one of those breakups whenever I was like, if it felt like it hurt me more than it hurt him because I obviously still really loved him, but I was like, I either have to choose myself or choose him in this moment. And at that age, I was finally able to choose myself because the only reason we dated in the first place was because I was in a place looking back where I didn't love myself, and I was just latching on to that love to whoever could give it to me. And he was the one, just so happened to show interest in me, and I was like, okay, cool. Let's lock it in. I mean, that's not actually how it happened, but whatever. Yeah, and it was just a really not fun time for me. But I mean, I don't regret it because it is part of who I am today. It's not part of who I am. It's a style. It's a part of my story. So, and that's shaped me into who I am today, which is important. So I don't regret it. And you shouldn't regret things unless you did something really bad, then yeah, maybe. But I mean, otherwise, don't regret it. So yeah. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. I'm thirsty. That breakup was pretty rocky, I would say. I fell into a big hole of depression after I broke up with him because it felt like it hurt me to break up with him more than it hurt him because I was I still loved him and I was so attached to him, and it was hard for me to break that attachment by breaking up with him, but it was the only way I could literally survive because I felt myself literally changing into a person I didn't recognize, and I didn't like that. And I'm self-aware enough to know that I was not the same person that I used to be, and I was I know I'm not gonna come out the same person as this because this relationship has changed who I am. But I mean, the least I can do is get out of it before it ruin it. Like it just, I can't be myself anymore because I just felt like it was changing who I was because I was giving, 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 and I was like watering a dead plant, that relationship. And so the second breakup I was in, oh yeah, so the second relationship I was in, I was like, okay, now let's go for the complete opposite of what I've just dated. Let's date a guy who's like nice guy, whatever, just very, your average dude. And so we dated. Sorry, I just laughed at the fact that I said your average dude because that sounded mean. But I mean, it wasn't like he wasn't a bad guy or anything. It was just like we were just in different places. And that's why I broke up with him because I just felt like I wasn't getting the things that I needed from him within our relationship. Like, I felt like I was always the one initiating plans and stuff, like towards the end. And I'm not sure whose fault it was or like because I was in high school. So, like, it's as only as much as I can recall. So it was just I was just like, okay. Then I broke up with him too. I broke up with that boyfriend because he I just felt like I was initiating a lot more. Well, I think I brought up the idea of us breaking up, and then he was like, I was like, yeah, maybe we should break up or like break up or something. And then he was like, but like I don't know if I was serious. I don't know what I was thinking because like I wanted to break up with him, but obviously like I think the thought of like actually him like not, I guess, fighting for me or like not wanting to like like I wasn't expecting him to agree so fast. I was like, oh, so he wants this too. And that's whenever I started crying and then he started crying. And it was like a very like, I don't want to say like cute breakup, but it was like we both cried and we both like said our goodbyes and stuff and like we're like, oh, like so sad. Like we cried for a good bit. And then we like my mom, like I lived at my house at the time. Still do. There's nothing wrong with that. Saving money. I don't know what that meant. Anyways, so my mom saw, and then so she saw us like both crying, and then she like talked to us, and she's like, "It's gonna be okay," like blah blah blah, because he knew that like he wasn't being what he needed either, and so I was just like, okay, like this is just not working, like we're just not working anymore, but like we still care about each other, and like we still want the best for each other, but like we're not the best for each other, and it was a very like mature breakup, and I was like looking back, I'm like, very good job, Elle, like you did so good. And also good job to him because like we both ended something that needed to be ended and like that takes two mature people to do. So like go me and go him and hope he's doing good in life. And last but not least, my most recent breakup was sophomore year in college. Sophomore year in college, dated this guy for about like, I don't know, a month. And then we started doing long distance and I don't know, it just went downhill once we started doing long distance because I don't think he understood like that I needed reassurance with like being in a long distance relationship and like he just wasn't that type of like boyfriend for me. And I think the first day that we got into a relationship, we literally got into a fight. So I was like already off the get-go like this relationship is like what are we doing? Because I don't know. It was just weird. Like, why are we fighting on the first day of us getting into a relationship? And so that was my last breakup. So, I mean, overall, like, yeah, I mean, I've had like, uh, flings and stuff, not flings. I've had like failed talking stages. I've had many of those in my lifetime. As I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that because, either you end it, like you go on a date with somebody and it just didn't work out, or like somebody ghosted you or you ghosted somebody for valid reasons. Sometimes it's valid, okay? It really just depends on the situation. But yeah, breakups suck. I don't enjoy them. Think that each breakup that you go through does teach you something though. Like I've learned a lot about myself through the breakups, but like definitely don't enjoy them. And the biggest thing that helped me get through them was focusing on my friends and like focusing on doing things that I enjoyed, because it was kind of like a rediscovery for me. Like each one of those breakups, I allowed myself to reach a better version of myself, because I was like, okay, obviously something went wrong. So like, let's do better for myself, because it was kind of like me proving to myself. And so honestly, like that breakup glow up is kind of everything. So if you go through a breakup, like embrace it, like ride that wave, because number one, you don't want to not feel that pain that you're feeling. Like you want to feel that pain that you're feeling right now, because if you don't feel the pain that you're feeling, you're going to feel it later on, and you don't want that. And also, the way that breakups work for boys and girls. Girls whenever they break up, like okay, girls whenever they break up, they start down here. Boys start up here. So girls are lower, boys are higher. And whenever girls like whenever they just go through the breakup, they're very sad, and they're mourning the loss of their relationship and grieving, maybe eating a lot of ice cream, maybe doing some online shopping, maybe not getting out of bed for 3 days, maybe going on a rampage and like writing a bunch of things on plates and writing all the things that you hated about him and like shattering it, but of course picking up after yourself, because we don't litter. Um and so yeah, girls whenever they end up go through a breakup, they usually start sad, and guys usually start at the top where they're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm finally free. I can spend all this time talking to whoever I want and party and do whatever." And then there comes a point where, like 3 months, the girl has finally started doing better for herself. Like she was sad for a while. Like she was really sad for like 2 months. She was really struggling, but like she picked herself back up, and now she's like going to the gym. She's reading more books. She's going on long walks. She's eating better, and like she's doing good for herself. And now the guy, he's starting to come down from that high that he was feeling, of feeling like he was on top of the world after he and the girl broke up, but now he's like, dang, I really regret it. Like I know what I lost, and she's never going to want to take me back now, because she's doing so good. Like I see her on Instagram, and like see her doing all of this, doing so well, and now I'm just down here. And there comes a time whenever they meet, and the guy will probably reach out, and this is when the girl either goes back to him, goes back to the pattern and continues the cycle, or she rises above and says no and moves on. Because you always have to remember there's a reason that you and the partner broke up in the first place. And so why would you want to repeat that, unless like of course you believe he's your soulmate or she's your soulmate, whoever, they are your soulmate, I don't know, and you just see it working out. But sometimes you just need to end it and like cut it off. Whenever breakups happen, the boy starts on top of the world, and he is seeking out rebounds. He is partying, drinking a lot, doing all of the things to not feel it and not go through it, because in his eyes he feels like he's free. Meanwhile, the girl on the other hand is depressed in her room and watching reruns of Gossip Girl and crying with her best friend, while her best friend and her eat tubs of ice cream. So it just really depends. Like, and then girls, once they finally get over their like 2 week hump of really sad grieving their relationship, and she finally like starts to be herself again, she'll probably start going to the gym, start trying to put more effort into herself, and start lifting herself back up. Meanwhile, the boy is on that come down from that high he was feeling, and he's like, dang, I really messed up, like what have I done? But he's still not like, he's like, nah, like I'm free now, like I'm good. And while that girl is like on the come up, she's like, okay, I'm doing good for myself, like starting to feel like myself again, like not quite ready to date, but like doing good for myself. And the boy's like, oh my gosh, I really messed up, like I don't know what I have done, like what have I done? And then they meet up, and then they see each other, and they're like, he's like, do you want to be mine again? Like, let's make this work. Like, I messed up. Like, be mine again. And then the girl is going to have to either rise above or repeat the pattern. And that's basically my spiel on breakups. Like, if you broke up, you broke up for a reason. So, next topic. I kind of took it out of me, to be quite honest with you. Next topic is breakouts. And my whole life, I struggled with acne. My acne problems started probably within whenever I was like 13, 14, maybe even like 12. I had acne all over my face. I had chest acne, had back acne, I had everything. I was on Proactive, I was on Tazarac, I was on every single thing you can name under the sun. Like, and I started noticing it like in middle school. I was like, what are all these little bumps on my face, and like, why does nobody else have them? And we weren't allowed to wear makeup in school, so the one time I wore makeup, the like to try to cover up all of the pimples I had, my freaking middle school principal came in the bathroom and she was like, "Are you wearing makeup?" And then she like wiped my face and like a little bit of foundation came off because I had some on, even though I wasn't supposed to, because I had like this awful pimple that I just wanted to not showcase to the entire 8th grade population. And she like made me wipe off all my face, and it was so mortifying. It was just like, no, never wanted that to happen again. And somebody else in middle school told me that I looked like a pizza face because I had acne, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm never gonna recover from that. So like from that point on, I was so insecure about my skin, and like I was already insecure about my skin because it was just not clean and perfect. And I mean, yes, my skin is a lot better now, like you can tell. I mean, I'm definitely a little oily right now, but I mean, that's just because there's like 3 lights shining on me right now, so like it's gonna be a little shiny, and that's fine. But yeah, definitely my skin is a lot better now, but that's because like I figured out the right regimen, knock on wood, because I say that, but my skin also fluctuates and changes because sometimes, well, within high school, my skin was very, very troublesome. My skin, I would go through periods where my skin was okay and it was like completely clear, and then it was super bad. And I struggled to go without makeup for a while because I felt so ugly, and I thought about getting on Accutane, but you had to get all this blood work done and stuff, and I was like, no, like my acne isn't that bad. Like my brother had like really cystic acne at one point, and like it was really painful for him. And like I know cystic acne is really painful, but like mine wasn't cystic, mine was hormonal. And it was also, it like very much dependent on my period. So whenever my period would get bad, my face would get super, super bad. And it was just all one big concoction together. And once the doctor was like, okay, well, you should get on birth control. At the ripe age of 15, I got on birth control, and a lot of my acne problems went away. But alongside with my acne problems going away, I developed literally, I feel like, a different personality, gained weight, lost weight, like gained disordered eating patterns, was completely depressed and anxious. That's like my anxiety can't, like I've had anxious thoughts after I started birth control. And that's what they don't tell you about taking birth control. And so I was on birth control for what, like 4 years, like in high school, or maybe like 3 years. I don't know, something. I got on when I was like a freshman in high school, but it was because mainly my skin, but also I was the type of girl who would literally have to leave school because I had such bad periods. It was not fun and not the vibe. So, yeah, so I always really struggled with my skin. And it wasn't until I figured out that birth control was not my friend. And I read this book called Beyond the Pill, and it introduced me to a lot of ideas that birth control is actually not good for you and not helping you. And so I was like, okay, I don't want to be on this anymore. I don't want to be on something that's like putting synthetic hormones into my body and like making me feel crazy. It literally made me feel insane, and I was just like, this is not for me anymore. So I stopped taking it, and it takes like a while for your body to like regulate itself after that. And once that happened, like I still had problems with acne, but like I was able to figure out after like more trial and errors that it's just hormonal for me, and like I can fix that with like certain regimens. But without that, I wouldn't have been able to do that. And for as per the topic of breakdowns, I have those about once a week, sometimes twice, sometimes three, depending on the severity of my workload within school or work, or just being stressed. I don't know, but the ways that I get through breakdowns, you kind of just gotta ride the wave. And I honestly, a lot of my breakdowns kind of coincided with my breakouts, because having acne makes you feel so insecure sometimes. Like, whenever it was like all over my face, and I of course never would judge anybody with acne because I know what it feels like. It's the worst feeling. Like, you just feel like, and there's just like, it's so hard because there's like really nothing you can do about it sometimes, because sometimes putting on all of these products and putting on more skincare stuff is making it worse. And it's just like, what do you do? And it's just so frustrating. It's like so much trial and error. And how do you fix this problem? How do I fix my face? Even though there's nothing wrong with it, but it feels like I'm ugly because of it. And it just feels like everyone's staring at you. And it's like the worst feeling. And um yeah, I hate acne. I hate that for people who feel that, because I struggled with it for a long time, and hopefully I don't struggle with it ever again, because it's not fun. Yeah. And breakdowns, I just literally have those like all the time. I don't really know how I thought that was going to be a whole topic, because I mean, that's just like part of my daily routine. Like, like what the L, like have my daily breakdown. Not really. I'm actually a very happy person. I'm just saying, like, sometimes with school I get stressed out. Sometimes with school I get stressed out because, I'm taking 18 hours. I don't know why I did that to myself. Oh yeah, because I'm going to be graduating. Because I wanted to graduate. That's why. Um, but yeah, I just get stressed out sometimes. But anyways, thanks for listening to this episode. If you're watching it on YouTube or Spotify, thanks for watching. I know it's fun to watch. I want to do some different locations soon. Um, but it's just hard to, well, I mean, it's not that hard. I can pack everything up, but it's just kind of a hassle. But, I can do it. I can do it. So, yeah, with that, make sure you leave a comment, subscribe, follow on YouTube, follow on Instagram, follow the What the Elle Instagram, and I also have a TikTok. And so, yeah, with that, stay sexy, stay savage, and stay tuned for another episode of What the Elle every Friday. Love you. Bye.